guys, welcome to Kimchi 101 with Yaniv. My name is Yaniv, and we're going to be making beautiful kimchi with all these beautiful ingredients from the beautiful garden in High Valley Dawn. We have our daikon turnips, we have our cabbages, we have our beautiful garlic and carrots, ginger and turmeric, all grown with so much love. And now we're gonna put some extra love into it and make some kimchi. So we have all these ingredients, and what we need to do is we need to process them. So we need to basically chop a lot of them and grate a lot of them. So this is very time consuming, but this is what makes the kimchi so amazing. It's that all the ingredients are really mixed in together in really tiny particles, and you don't even know if you're eating a piece of turmeric or a piece of ginger or a piece of carrot, and it's all just love in your mouth, you know, just amazing. So you want to make sure it's fairly clean. Doesn't have to be too clean, because actually we like, if we know the soil's good, we like to have a bit of microbes in the kimchi. That's what helps it ferment. So it's called the lacto fermentation. And basically what's happening is the bacteria that's in this food is basically turning sugar into more bacteria. So all of these veggies, they have sugars in them, and the salt and the fact that it has no air, it's called anaerobic or lactic fermentation, turns all of these sugars into probiotics, into like beneficial bacteria for our gut.
Kimchi is good for me. Yeah, it's the best stuff that I eat, I guarantee. Kimchi, so good for me.
Russian garlic. It's pretty young still. You see, there's no cloves, but it's still gonna be amazing, and it's gonna give us so much flavor to the kimchi. Ooh, that looks good. Very medicinal.
Kimchi is good for me. Yeah, it's the best stuff that I eat, I guarantee.
So we're halfway, and Michelle came to help because we couldn't do it without her. And I'm a bit camera shy as well, so Michelle came to help us and save the day. So yeah, we've already prepped all the daikon turnip and some beautiful garlic. And now we're gonna keep on with the ginger and the turmeric and carrots and the cabbage. That's what we have left. Alright? So like I said before, with a lot of things that we actually like the skin on some things, if it's not too dirty. This one is a bit too rough, I guess. We could clean it up a bit. There's a method with a spoon.
Okay.
You can take a spoon and just kind of grate off a bit of the skin, but we still want a bit of the skin on it, because that's going to help the microbiome to ferment inside the jar. Yeah.
Kimchi is good for me.
And how much would you like of this?
Well, quite a lot
Okay.
of turmeric. We want like good flavors, you know, like nutritious kimchi.
Cool.
Kimchi is it's a really amazing superfood. It's got like such good anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, so much microbiome in it. It's really good probiotic. It's like a health boost, you know?
Nice.
Like an immune food. It's everyone's dream to have a garden like this, hey?
Kimchi.
Cleaning the turmeric at the moment, then we're gonna grate it, I believe.
Yeah, we're gonna grate it so it mixes in with everything.
So grating turmeric that we have here. Now we got some ginger here.
So now we're gonna start cutting the cabbages as well. This is a beautiful wombok, which I can never remember the name. Wombok cabbage. You can use any cabbage. It doesn't really matter, but this is like the traditional. Yeah, you can cut and process the cabbage however you want. Everyone does it a bit different. I like to have it like slices and then maybe in the middle, but then we're gonna mix everything together and it's gonna become one big salad. So doesn't really matter, but still we want to chop it pretty small. So get into your chopping
So good
skills.
for me. I wanna make it for my friends and my family. All I do is I get my daikon radish with the cabbage finely diced. Then I chop a little chili with the garlic and the ginger to crank it up with spice. Then add salt.
So this is grating the ginger. here we have the turmeric. Now we're working on ginger.
Kimchi, so good for me. Fermented.
So are we cool with the fibers from the ginger?
Yeah, we love the fibers. Yeah, the fibers are fine. It's, we might get like a nice little bite of ginger, of like fibrous ginger, but that's what kimchi is, right? You get like this bite of ginger, like, whoo,
Oh, brilliant.
spicy. Our aim is to grow beautiful food and to have good soil and to not have any pesticides.
Yeah.
So that's why we like to use the skin as well, because the skin actually holds a lot of the nutrients, and the fibrous parts are really good for you. So we like to keep it all and put it all in. Like, it can be really clean if that's what we like, but we don't mind having a bit of dirt and a bit of microbes,
Yeah.
a bit of bacteria, healthy bacteria. We'll keep talking a bit about lacto fermentation. Basically, like I said before, we're using salt with all these ingredients, and we're closing the lid so no other outside bacteria, no oxygen can get in. So basically, all the salt helps to turn, and the lack of oxygen helps to turn these sugars into bacteria. And it's a preservation method, preservation of food. It preserves some qualities of the food, not all of them, but it enhances the qualities as well. So it won't enhance the minerals and freshness of food, probably less minerals, but more bacteria, more healthy microbiome, because it's actually already starting the process of what happens in our gut, because our gut also ferments food to create more bacteria so that we have a healthy gut. And yeah, it needs to sit for minimum 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks, to actually get that lacto fermentation going. You can let it sit, if you do it correctly, you can let it sit for months and it'll stay good, maybe even years. And you can also eat it before. If you want to have like a kimchi salad that's a little more fresh, you can also eat it before 2 weeks. But if you want to get that like fermented sour vibe, you need to let it sit for minimum 2 weeks.
Just now I have the turmeric that's been grated, washed and grated. I have the ginger that's been washed and grated. Now we've washed the carrots and gonna grate the carrots as well.
Kimchi, so good for me. Fermented probiotic flavor jamboree. Kimchi, what does it mean? Something like salty pickled veggies in Korean.
Chili time, baby! Yeah, we're just gonna chop some chilies really, really fine. And we're gonna add that into the kimchi mix, so. So it's time for salt. Salt is the most important part of the fermentation. That's what's gonna actually draw out the sulfur, and the salt is gonna draw out all the sugars from the veggies, and then it's gonna, because of the lack of oxygen, it's gonna ferment and create this bacteria. So we have all these veggies and we have to mix them all together with salt. I like to start only with the cabbage because it's gonna really reduce in size when we start to mix it. So I'm just gonna mix a bit of salt. Now there's, I don't know, a lot of people have their methods of cooking and they like to measure and weigh stuff. I just like to go with what I feel, with my instinct, my cooking instinct, and see what I feel. So usually I would say 1 tablespoon of salt for a whole head of cabbage. So we have probably like 5 or 6 heads of cabbages here, but it's always hard you can't take out salt that you already put in, so I start with a bit less, and then you just taste it and you see as well. So I would say as a rule of thumb, if you're gonna start your first time making kimchi, about 1 tablespoon for a head of cabbage. But like I said, we're just gonna mix some salt and mix it all in together, and we're gonna taste it in the process and see what it tastes like. So that's an important tip. Just go with the flow and just taste it and see how it goes. And now is the fun part. Now we get to start mixing it. So we get our hands into the kimchi and we just press it down with the salts. So we're just mixing it all together, and we're trying to get all the liquids out. It's a really good forearm workout. Really good finger workout. See, I'm gonna start sweating soon. So I mixed in the salt with the cabbage, and you see that there's all this water that came out of the cabbage. That's really good. This cabbage is really watery as well, so it came out really quickly. Now this is what we're gonna ferment in. I tasted the cabbage, and it's mildly salty. We could probably add a bit more salt. So I'm gonna add a bit more salt, and then we're gonna mix in the rest of the ingredients, okay? And then we're gonna give it another churn, so we get all the juices out of everything and mix everything together in this beautiful vegetable bowl called kimchi. There we go. Now it's the beautiful fun part. We're gonna mix all these amazing ingredients that I've me and Michelle meticulously separated. We're gonna mix them all. We're gonna mix them all together, and it's gonna be beautiful and colorful like kimchi should be. Let's just do it, all right? So here's the garlic. Here goes the garlic. Here's the daikon radish. Yepa, there's the daikon. Let's give it a bit of oil.
What does it mean? Something like salty pickled veggies in Korean.
Cool. So far we put in 4 tablespoons of salt. So all of this. Add the rest of the veggies, and then we'll see what we feel about more salt or less salt. We're almost done with the carrots, eh? Alright. And what we have, just stick it in there. Oh, that's looking absolutely beautiful.
Delicious.
Okay, now, before we add all the really strong tasting vegetables like ginger and turmeric and the chili, we're just gonna taste it. No, go for it.
I like it like that already.
Yeah, now it's a salad. Now it's a salad. Alright. My intuition is telling me 2 more tablespoons of salt.
So good for me.
So 1,
Fermented probiotic flavor jamboree.
beautiful.
What does it mean?
Together.
Something like salty pickled veggies in Korean.
Now we're gonna do ginger. Ready for it? Beautiful. Turmeric. And all these chilies. It's a bit spicy, so I think we're just gonna add something like that. Always remember, we can always put in more afterwards, so don't put in everything at the start and then you'll be like, oh, it's too spicy. Put in a bit and then put in the rest later. So now the flavor we have now, it's very spicy and fresh, but when it ferments, it's going to become a bit more sour and it's going to lose a bit of the spice. So it's good if it's a bit spicy now, and then that spice will be gone a bit later. So all together, in this whole thing, this is my 7 teaspoons of salt. Do 8, so it's a round number. There we go. Tablespoon.
So good for me.
This is basically almost ready. Now we're just gonna add a few last spices just to make it like really, really perfect. We're gonna add some pepper. So that was cumin, black pepper. Now I'm gonna put paprika. And a bit of just turmeric for the color. There we go. And we're ready for jars.
Good for me.
For me to
Probiotic flavor jamboree.
stuff it into the jars. It's really important to have the jars sterile. So you can sterile them either in boiling water in a pot or in the oven. Just needs to be like exposed to heat for like 20 minutes to get all the other bacteria out, because then if we don't do that, it can get bacteria that it was already in the jar and go moldy, and we don't want that. So all the jars are sterile, and now we're gonna stuff the jars all the way to the top. Okay, you can use any kind of jar for fermenting, but there are some jars that will do it better. There are some jars that will release pressure differently. You'll always get a bit of liquid coming out of the top with jars, like even while it's fermenting, because all the water is kind of like fizzying up, and then the moisture is collecting on top and then just pouring out. So it's always gonna make a bit of a mess. So make sure you store it in a nice place. But basically, it's just primitive, you know. We're just putting it straight into the jar. You want to stuff it in there.
Well, let's stuff it inside a jar. Yeah, let's stuff it inside a jar. Come on, let's stuff it inside a jar. Come on, let's stuff it inside a jar.
Give it a bit of pressing, and you see how all the juices are coming up? We want to give it a bit of pressing, but we don't want to go too hard, and we want to go almost to the top of the jar.
So a wee bit more.
Yeah.
So that here?
Yeah, and we want to make sure that all the veggies are fully submerged in water. So that's what's going to keep, beautiful. That looks really good, Michelle. But we don't want it to go over the lip, over the brim. Okay, that's perfect.
That's
exactly how we want it. Maybe even a bit less.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but that's basically how we want it, because all the veggies that are going to be outside the water, they have the potential to get moldy, because the water with the salt is what's keeping them from going moldy, and the exposure to oxygen is what's going to make it moldy. That's what's going to get other bacteria in there. So we want to keep it so it doesn't have any oxygen in it. And before we close the brim, we just want to really give it like a good clean around the edge. We can use like a clean kitchen towel or something and just clean that all the veggie residue there, and that's it. It's basically ready. One more trick that we can do is when it's all done, we'll show you. We're just going to pour a bit of this liquid into the jars to top it up so that everything is fully covered in liquid, and then there's no chance of getting any oxidation or getting any bacteria forming on top of the kimchi. Yeah, looks like we made kimchi for a whole tribe here. So if anyone has any jars.
Well, let's stuff it inside a jar. Yeah, let's stuff it inside a jar. Come on, let's stuff it inside a jar. Come on, let's stuff it inside a jar.
So we got to about almost the height of the top of the jar, and then we can just, to make sure it doesn't oxidize, we're just gonna fill up a bit of the juice, bit of the veggie juice with the salt. You can put a bit more if we're a bit paranoid as well. There we go. And then we wipe it down, which we've already done. Is it wiped? Yeah. You can give it another one.
Yeah.
That's it. Basically, super easy, super simple. It's just time consuming, and you want to do it with love, so you put love into the veggies, and you want to do it with lovely people like Michelle, with a beautiful community to support you around it, like everything in life, but also kimchi. It also tastes better when it's made with love and with friends, you know. So yeah, we're just topping it up and putting it all away, storing it, and now this is gonna stay good for, if you did it right, with the right amount of salt, it could stay good for years. I don't want to say years, but a year or 2, 3. We'll see how long. You can never have too much salt, but it might be a bit too salty for your palate. So we want to try and put the minimum amount of salt, so that you're not getting too much salt in your body, and it's not too salty, but it also does the job of pulling out the sugars from the veggies. And yeah, we can let it sit for about 2 weeks in these beautiful jars that we've jarred up, and then we'll eat it, right? We're gonna film another 2 weeks when we eat the kimchi. Aho! Good job, everybody.
Oh, but kimchi is that flavor that I seek.